And good Saturday evening, sports junkies. How are we all doing on this Saturday night here on the East Coast as yours truly, Kevin Wolf, comes to the microphone with under 24 hours to go before we get ready for the big game, Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, Nevada, where the Kansas City Chiefs will take on the NFC's best in the San Francisco 49ers, and the Kansas City Chiefs, with that been there, done that attitude, with Patrick Mahomes at the quarterback position, with Travis Kelce, the big tight end, making key catches when he has to, and with Rice, the rookie, who has stepped up in big ways for Andy Reid's offensive play calling and scheme, and the Chiefs have become a powerhouse in the National Football League, and they will get ready to try and hoist up their third Lombardi Trophy tomorrow night, but they will have to do it against a 49ers team that is desperate to finally capture a Lombardi Trophy, their first since 1995, as the 49ers get ready to play in their 8th Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. They've been to 7. They've won 5 out of the 7. The last 2 they were in, they lost. And playing in the back of their heads all week will be the 2019 matchup against Kansas City, where they led 20-10 going into the fourth quarter, and the Chiefs came out and scored 21 unanswered points and knocked out the 49ers from capturing the Lombardi Trophy by beating them 31-20, and the Niners will try and stave off that horrible Super Bowl loss in 2019 as they finally try to go out there and capture a title for Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, who comes into this game with a ton of pressure. Kyle Shanahan, who comes into this game with a quarterback in Brock Purdy, who has shown his true ability as a San Francisco 49er at the quarterback position. And a 49ers team whose defense has not shown up when it needed to in the postseason. They were horrible against the Green Bay Packers for 60 minutes, but the 49ers survived. Detroit ran all over them and dominated them for 30 minutes in the first half of the NFC Championship game, and the defense had no answers, and Detroit had a 24-7 lead before the 49ers came calling back by getting an opening touchdown in the third quarter and clawing their way back into a big win to find themselves in this game. They rallied from behind with the offense doing what it needed to do to win that game. It hasn't been about the defense the last 2 weeks. It's been about the come-from-behind storyline and the offense making just enough plays when they have to catapult themselves to victories. But this game tomorrow night will be a different animal for the San Francisco 49ers as they go up against a team that has a been-there, done-that attitude, a team that is well coached in Andy Reid, especially coming off of bye weeks with the preparation that he puts in place to get his teams geared up and ready to go. But they also have a top-notch big-game defensive coordinator in Steve Spagnuolo, who will have a great game plan tomorrow evening to try and tame a 49ers offense that can score points in bunches. You can't only worry about trying to sack the quarterback in Brock Purdy, but you have to worry about Deebo Samuel. You have to worry about Ayuk. You have to go out there and find a way to tame Kittle, who can make some big catches from the tight end position. Very good with the screen action plays that Kyle Shanahan has in his playbook for the offensive scheme. And you have to find a way to tame Christian McCaffrey and the ground and pound attack that can be very troubling for the opposing defense when they play the San Francisco 49ers. And if any defensive guru has a good game plan, it's Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, because he has proven time and time again that his defense shows up in big spots. And the Chiefs' defense has been excellent this postseason, especially in the AFC Championship game when they shut down the Baltimore Ravens and went on to win 17-10. Yes, we know Chris Jones is going to have to step up and try and get in Purdy's face and sack the quarterback. But we also know that the edge rushers for the San Francisco 49ers are going to have to try and disrupt the Chiefs' offense. They need to disrupt Patrick Mahomes. They need to take him off his game a little bit, because Patrick Mahomes doesn't only throw the deep ball, he has the agility with the legs to come out of the pocket and scan the field and throw the football as he's running to find a receiver open. That's how good Mahomes is. So it's going to be a tough task for that 49ers defense to try and go out there and tame an offense that is just as good as the 49ers. The Super Bowl and championship runs in the NFL are about the quarterback. It's about the guy throwing the football, leading the team downfield, and getting key victories. And right now, the best in the league to do that is Patrick Mahomes. He's fascinating to watch. He's the perfect fit for Andy Reid's offense. He works well with Reid and what he looks to instill week in and week out in his game plan for the respective opponent they're going out there and playing. And he's also dominant. And as anemic as the Chiefs' offense was at times this past season, the last 5 weeks, they've been clicking on all cylinders. And they've been dominant. They've been making clean catches. The one frustrating thing with the Chiefs is the stupid offensive penalties. They always find themselves getting a ton of penalties in a game. But they try to always counterbalance that by doing what they need to do to get key yardage, to move the chains, to put points on the board. Whether that's 3 points with a field goal or 7 points with a touchdown. The Chiefs have the edge with the quarterback, with the coach, and with their special teams. And with their defense, because we know what Spagnuolo is going to throw at you. The Chiefs' defense will be blitz heavy, and it will be fun to watch. The 49ers might be slightly a bit better from an offensive perspective, but as a whole, both teams, in my opinion, come into this game evenly matched, roster-wise on paper. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a game that goes right down to the wire. I believe the spread moved to 1.5 in favor of the San Francisco 49ers. But I got to be honest with you folks. All you sports junkies, sports purists, and football lovers out there listening to this mini edition of the Sports Buzz, I can't go against Patrick Mahomes because I think he will be hoisting up his 3rd Lombardi Trophy at Allegiant Stadium. And what better city to do it in than Las Vegas, Nevada, the betting mecca of the universe. We've heard about the matchups all week. We've heard analysis from various pundits and media critics across the sports spectrum. And we've had a good 2 weeks to analyze and dissect this matchup. And the more and more I look at both of these teams, the more and more I feel we are going to be in for a classic football game. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think both offenses are going to show up. I think it's going to go right down to the wire. And I think when push comes to shove, the last guy with the ball in his hands could be Patrick Mahomes taking his team downfield for a game-winning touchdown. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game by 6. 30-24. Kansas City over the San Francisco 49ers. I think it's going to go back and forth, and I think the 49ers wide receivers are going to have to step up and make some big plays on this heavy blitzed Kansas City defense. Kittle's going to need to make some key catches. Ayuk is going to need to be somewhat of a contributor. Deebo Samuel's going to have to do his part. And the 49ers are going to have to run the football. They got to try and get the ground and pound attack going against the Chiefs. The problem is the Chiefs' defense has been so good against the run. And the 49ers thrive with a fast-paced offense, the ground and pound attack, and various screen pattern plays. We know Kyle Shanahan likes to mix it up. Spagnuolo's going to have answers for some of the trickery for the Chiefs' defense, and I think he will. But I think it is going to be a close-to-the-vest, competitive, tough football game for 60 minutes. And I think both teams have had 2 weeks to prepare, and they're both going to come out and battle test one another for the right to the Lombardi Trophy. There is a lot of pressure on Kyle Shanahan and this San Francisco 49er franchise coming into this game. And Kyle Shanahan needs to relieve some of that pressure by getting a win here tomorrow night. Now, I wouldn't be surprised in the least if the San Francisco 49ers hoisted up the Lombardi Trophy. But I've seen Patrick Mahomes prove time and time again in a do-or-die situation why he's worthy of all the credit we give him week in and week out through a football season, because he's that good when he has to be. And he finds ways to win games. And that experience factor, having been in this setting before, having already hoisted up 2 Lombardi trophies, gives the Chiefs an advantage in this football game. The 49ers are a great team. They are well deserving to be playing in this game tomorrow night. And they have just as much, if not better, talent in areas on the football field than the Kansas City Chiefs. But that been there, done that attitude, that Hall of Fame head coach and Andy Reid, and that cusp of becoming a dynasty will be significant as the Kansas City Chiefs take to the football field tomorrow night. And that's going to give them enough mojo to go out there and propel themselves to victory. I like the Chiefs tomorrow night in a close one. And boy, oh boy, what a setting to have the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, Nevada. We know the NFL prides itself on gambling and betting. We know it's a huge moneymaker week in and week out through an 18-week season. It's even a bigger moneymaker in the postseason and a huge moneymaker with the biggest game of them all in the Super Bowl. And to be doing it in the betting capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, and to be having the biggest game in the world in Las Vegas, Nevada, is even more telling for how this is going to play out tomorrow night. And it should be fun. It should be interesting. and it should be enjoyable. As I will prepare my chicken wings, I will have a few non-alcoholic beverages, O'Doul's to be exact, which is a great beer. I will put my feet up and my fanny on the sofa, and I will be excited and eager to watch Super Bowl 58 and watch Patrick Mahomes go to work against the San Francisco 49ers. Say what you want, folks. It's the best game out of all the sports. I get the NBA Finals are significant, but it's a best-of-7 series. I get there's nothing like the enjoyment of the fast-paced style of the NHL Stanley Cup in hockey, and it's a great trophy to win, but it's a best-of-7 series. We know how fun the World Series is every October when an American League team goes out and plays a National League team for the rights to a World Series title and a ticker-tape parade, but that's also a best-of-7 series. This is a one-and-done situation. It's win or go home. There's no surviving another day. And that's what makes the NFL so much more entertaining to watch on a week-in, week-out basis. And that's why the Super Bowl is fun. Because it's not only a game, it's a party. It's a holiday. Everybody looks forward to it. You don't have to watch football or be a sports junkie to enjoy the Super Bowl. You don't have to watch an ounce of sports throughout an entire year to enjoy the Super Bowl. It's one day where everyone comes together, turns on their television set to enjoy the on-field action of the spectacle taking place. It is the biggest sporting event of the year, and nothing compares to it, in my opinion. The food that ties into the Super Bowl, the gambling that ties into the game, the prop bets that also are significant throughout the day, leading up to kickoff and as the game commences on the football field. And another storyline this year that'll be significant is one of the most popular singing artists the younger generation has come to adore, and that's Taylor Swift. And we know the oversaturation we've had as sports junkies watching our respective teams take to the field week in and week out. And every time our team would go up and play the Kansas City Chiefs, the announcers would be Taylor Swift crazy. The cameramen would be Taylor Swift crazy. The oversaturation of Taylor Swift became very annoying to many who just want to watch the event for what it is. 60 minutes of hardcore football, of battle-tested football, teams going at it to win a respective game. If Taylor Swift wants to date Travis Kelce, that's her business. But the bottom line is, the NFL don't look at it from that perspective. They look at it as money. Taylor Swift is making the sport a ton of money. Her presence alone is making the sport money. And she became a fixture into the storyline of the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs and this great run they've had with another Super Bowl appearance. And I hate to say it, but she will be a significant storyline in this football game, especially if the Chiefs go out there and win. So prepare to see a lot of Taylor Swift on camera tomorrow night at Allegiant Stadium. And every time the Chiefs score a touchdown, you know the camera's going to pan over to the suite she's sitting in to show you her reaction. She's become part of the fabric of what the National Football League is and has become. So as we get ready to watch an exciting Super Bowl, we begin to hone in on the National Basketball Association and the NBA, as we got about 2 months left to go in that season. Hockey continues to plug along, and before you know it, pitchers and catchers will report to their respective spring training facilities, and baseball and opening day will be a mere few weeks away. And boy, has it felt like spring here on the East Coast. It was 61 degrees here in the New York metro area today, and it was liberating to go outside, to not have to wear a heavy coat, gloves, hat, scarves. It was refreshing to get some quality weather for once. It hasn't been a snow-packed winter here on the East Coast, but it's been cold. But I must tell you that as we look for better weather here on the East Coast, we also may have some snow in our forecast for later on this week. And that disappointed me a little bit, because coming off of a 61-degree day with spring feel in the air, with the hopes of tulips blooming and daffodils coming up, beginning to grow, and the beautiful outside scenery that the spring, summer, and fall has to offer here on the East Coast, is definitely liberating. And growing up, I used to love snow. I used to get excited. I used to love when school was called off and we'd have snow days, and I'd go out in the front of the house and I'd build a snowman, and I'd get my sled and I'd go sledding with some friends when I was younger. But now I hear the word snow and I cringe. I cringe about having to get the shovel out and shovel my walkway. I cringe about the fear of ice and slipping and falling. I cringe about the cold weather, and I cringe to have to clean up Mother Nature's mess. But when you live in the state of New Jersey and you have 4 seasons, 3 months out of the year, you have to expect that you're going to get some white stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how Mother Nature acts a little later this week as they have some snow in the forecast. But before that, I will enjoy the nice 50-degree weather tomorrow, the big game tomorrow night, and 10 o'clock tomorrow night, I will become sad and depressed that the final chapter of the 2023 NFL season has been scripted and the Lombardi Trophy has been hoisted up by either the Kansas City Chiefs or the San Francisco 49ers. Because I could tell you one thing. The last 5 months of NFL football was pure enjoyment. Even though the Giants were pathetic, the Jets didn't do much to salvage their season with the injury to Aaron Rodgers. But the one thing with the NFL is you have many games to look forward to and enjoy on the television set. As with baseball, I live or die with the New York Mets. And it's been an off season with little noise, not a ton of additions, an inexperienced manager in Carlos Mendoza coming into the fray to be the new manager for this franchise in Queens that has been a circus act, that has been a laughing stock, that has gone out there and proven that they can't win when it matters the most. The fact that Pete Alonso hasn't been signed to a long-term deal is worrisome. The fact that Steve Cohen, the owner, and all the billions of dollars he has isn't doing more to put a winning product on the field is concerning. And once tomorrow night ends, the doom and gloom of baseball is staring me in the face as a Met fan. And I want to be optimistic. And I'm going to hope to come to the microphone and be an optimistic Met fan. Because they're finally winning. They're finally turning the tide of the stupidity that has surrounded this franchise and the ineptitude that has surrounded this team for so many years. But I need to see them go out there and prove that they're worthy of praise. And prove that they're finally going to turn the tide and be a exciting team out of the NL East. What, Luis Severino is supposed to excite me in the rotation? Kodai Senga coming off of 1 year in a Met uniform is supposed to make me happy? Where's our top-tier pitcher? Where's our guy that's going to go out there and give us a solid 7 innings of work? We know what Lindor's capable of. We know the abilities of Jeff McNeil. We know the prowess and power of Pete Alonso and the big home run hitter he could be. We know this team has some veterans that can turn the tide. But last I looked, pitching wins championships in the sport of baseball. And without top-tier pitching, it's very hard to get through a 162-game season, let alone a tough competitive postseason. And the idea that the NFL is coming to a close and baseball will become front and center with a team that hasn't done much or made enough moves to show me that they're going to go out there and be competitive day in and day out on the diamond is worrisome. It's worrisome. Because you know what our crosstown rival's going to do in the New York Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, the team that plays in the house that Homer's built? They're going to go out there and they're going to forget about that 82 and 80 lackluster season they had last year. And the injury to Aaron Judge that crippled the offense. And they're going to go out there and they're going to win games. Juan Soto's going to become a hero to the Bronx. Aaron Judge is going to hit home runs. Anthony Volpe's going to be the up-and-coming stud that the Yankee fan dreams he can be. Maybe Giancarlo Stanton will come out of his funk and show some worth. Hopefully Garrett Cole will continue to have the winning pedigree that he had last year with his dominance on the mound in the starting pitching rotation for the New York Yankees. Maybe the pressure will come off of Aaron Boone in the dugout because he'll have the players producing day in and day out to warrant winning success. That's the difference, folks. The Yankees know how to bounce back and win. The Yankees know how to make headlines, make news. The Yankees know what winning is all about. Where the Mets, it's nothing but pain, suffering, misery, failures, and doom and gloom in Queens. And it's a fan base that hasn't seen a lot of memories over the last 2 decades. That hasn't seen a lot of enjoyment since 1986. In the NBA, boy, have the Knicks been exciting. Boy, has Tom Thibodeau really changed the culture of this team and has this mini Villanova team with the likes of Brunson and Hart, DiVincenzo, and key guys who played for Jay Wright at the collegiate level, boy, how they have stepped up at the pro level and have made themselves big-time players for a New York Knicks team that has seen its fair share of losing, too, on the NBA hardwood. And it's finally refreshing to see the Knicks turn the page here in the Big Apple and start winning and start playing some meaningful basketball. And maybe, just maybe, it could be their year where they can make a deep run into the postseason. But you got to get by the Celtics. You got to get by the Bucks. You got to get by the experience of the Miami Heat, who made a big run last year, fell short in 5 games to the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals. The Heat weren't really expected to make a deep run, but they did. They won their play-in game, and they never looked back to get into the postseason. It's about that late season momentum that carries you into the postseason that is really significant for a lot of these teams looking to make deep runs. So the next few months should be interesting as we come to the microphone and dissect what's happening in the world of sports. As we inch ever closer to the March Madness tournament in college basketball, as the Big East remains competitive, as you could have 9 teams vying for the NCAA tournament this year. Rutgers has fallen back a little bit out of the Big Ten. They'll probably need to make a big run and maybe even win the Big Ten tournament to have a shot to make the NCAA tournament. But you'll probably see St. John's get in. You'll probably see Seton Hall get in. You'll probably see some of the locals here in the New York metro area get into the tournament and possibly make some noise. But we have a few weeks before we really hone in on college basketball. So I hope you all enjoy Super Bowl 58. Have fun. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the day. Make the most of it, because it'll be a long summer before we get ready to kick off another NFL season. An NFL season without Bill Belichick on the sidelines, with Pete Carroll working a front office job for the Seattle Seahawks, and many young coaches coming into the fray who were former coordinators to finally get their chance to lead their respective franchises to winning success. I get Bill Belichick's going to be 72 years old. But remember one thing, folks. He'll be back on the sideline, and he'll be coaching somewhere. He's 15 shy of the all-time wins record and of beating Don Shula for that reward. He will coach again. He will put on a Bose headset again. And he will lead a team to another Super Bowl title with the right offensive system and quarterback in place. And you're probably sick of me saying this, and you're probably tired of me constantly going in this direction with Belichick, but something continues to tell me he will be part of the New York Giants franchise. And something continues to tell me he'll be coaching in the Big Apple when all is said and done. Heck, what is it? 3.5 hours away from Nantucket, 4 hours away from Boston, 3.5 from Foxborough. He's not too far from Massachusetts, where he's made a name for himself for the last 2.5 decades. He's an East Coast guy. He loves the New York Football Giant organization, and he may just be sitting back waiting for his opportunity to take over the team and get them back to the glory days of Big Blue winning success on the football field. That should be fun and fascinating to watch if and when it happens. So I will pop open an O'Doul's tomorrow night, feast on some game food, turn the television on about 5 o'clock, and get amped up for some NFL football. Let's also hope that Tony Romo goes out there and has a good game. I hope he's used this last 2 weeks to practice some professionalism. I hope he's used this last 2 weeks to refine himself a little bit as a commentator in the broadcast booth. Tony, you have one job to do, and that's go out there and broadcast the biggest game of them all, the Super Bowl, but you also got to keep the fans into it. You also got to draw the viewer in, and you've had trouble doing that of late. Hopefully you'll retool yourself and give us an enjoyable broadcast tomorrow night. And by the way, it's February. The last I looked, it was winter here in the Northeast. I was out and about most of the day today, and I can't tell you the amount of people that I saw in shorts, the amount of people that were wearing sandals, the amount of people that thought it was 90 degrees out and were ready to go to the beach. Heck, folks, this isn't the West Coast. This isn't California. This isn't Florida. This isn't a tropical island somewhere. This is the Northeast. This is the Garden State. This is the state of New Jersey. And last I looked, we had 4 seasons. Not 1, not 2, but 4 seasons to contend with year in and year out. So I was just amazed to see the amount of people that were out and about like it was 90 and humid. Can we hold off on the shorts a little bit? Can we hold off on the bathing suits a little bit, please? It's February. I'll tell you, it must be nice to go to the West Coast, though. I've had an interest in visiting the West Coast for a long time now. And I hope one day I can get out there and really see what it's about. Because I hear Southern California is beautiful. I hear there's a ton of nice beaches, a lot of blue water. And boy, oh boy, it'd be refreshing to get out there and see something different. Maybe one day. But we'll enjoy Vegas on the television set. We'll enjoy the Super Bowl. And we'll have fun coming back on the air next week to give you our thoughts, our analysis, and everything pertaining to Super Bowl 58. And then we'll slowly move on into other areas of significance in the sports world. Again, it's going to be a close game. Something tells me the Chiefs are going to win 30-24 when all is said and done. It's time for me to shut the mic off. It's time for me to go downstairs, brew a nice Nespresso Melozio decaf coffee, watch some college hoops, and get ready for Super Bowl 58 at Allegiant Stadium. Adios. Until next time.